Yo, what's good, everybody? We back. I want to welcome everybody back to the No Level Cap podcast. I'm Sage Ashford. This is Terrence, Will, and Rakeem, the No Level Cap crew, where we talk about all the anime, all the gaming, and none of the bullshit. No Level Cap goes live every Monday. If you prefer the video version, we're on YouTube, and if you're a fan of the audio version, we're on Spotify. We put up bite-sized versions of our podcast on TikTok. If you're a fellow millennial or a Gen Zer. So this week I want to talk about, and we're a little late to this kind of sort of, but I think this is one of those evergreen sort of topics. I want to talk about Pokemon. I feel like Pokemon is one of those franchises that should be for kids, but it's not. We constantly see Pokemon just like played by people of all ages. In fact, I remember that classic meme of you go away and you play Pokemon when you're a kid, and then you go away from it when you're a teenager. You go play Call of Duty or whatever, and then you get to like your college years and you're back to playing Pokemon because you just can't give it up. And so I guess I wanted to ask, how do y'all feel about Pokemon? Let's just start with how did you get into Pokemon? Because there's a lot we could cover with Pokemon. Because of course, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are coming out in November, I believe. So I mean, I do want to I'm just I'm always curious as to how people got into such a huge franchise, because that franchise was so random. It was like, let's take some cute little animals and make them fight, and that shit just kind of came out of nowhere, and it just exploded. And so I wanted to talk about Pokemon for just a week, just to have some fun with it, because I think at some point or another, most of us had a connection to Pokemon as a franchise. I know I did. So let me ask. I want to start with Terrence. Terrence, bro, how did you get into Pokemon?
So the year was, well, shit, I don't even remember the year that Pokemon came out. So I guess that joke, I had to abort the joke. It was like, what, 1997 or 6?
96 or 97, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was that year, and Pokemon Red, just to keep it brief, like Pokemon Red and Blue came out, and I that was the year I got a Game Boy, and that was my first Game Boy game. And honestly, Pokemon was truth be told, Pokemon was my introduction to RPGs. Like, if we're being real about it, I mean, I could count some of the other stuff that I played after that, but really, Pokemon at its core is an RPG. Sometimes we don't really think about it as an RPG in the same way, but it is an RPG. But yeah, that's the game that got me into it. I loved Pokemon Red and Blue as a kid. I played that game so much. Like, I didn't even, funny thing is, I never actually caught them all in the original game. I just kept beating the Elite Four and Gary at the end, and I would be like, okay, well, that was a fun time, and I would just pretty much just start the game over and just try different things. I would get different Pokemon, go with different teams, and try different ways to beat the game. I always use the cheat codes, though. I always use the missing no and the rare candy glitch. You had to do that to get everybody leveled up, because I wouldn't go sit there all day and level Pokemon up once I found out there was a code for it, or like a cheat for it. But yeah, I grew up with Pokemon. I was like what, maybe like 8 or 9 or so at that time when I played Pokemon Red and Blue, and then I went on to play Pokemon Gold and Silver. I played that one as well. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and then I just stopped with the franchise because I thought that, honestly, Pokemon was going to just be done after that. I was like, like after 2 games, they had a good run. I'm pretty sure this franchise won't keep going. Well, I was definitely wrong about that, because it is still going to this day. And actually, I stopped playing Pokemon. I skipped the 3rd and the 4th generation, and I didn't play it again until Pokemon Black and White, which for me, it came out in 2010, and that I was in college at that time. And what a time to play it again, just because it was fun to run around campus with people who had DS and people who had the game, and fight them and trade and everything. I enjoyed Pokemon Black and White. It was really cool to get back into the franchise after being gone for so long. And pretty much after Black and White, I haven't really come back to it after that. I've kept up with it in terms of like the news and everything, but in terms of playing the games, I haven't since. Well, I mean, I don't have a Switch, and I didn't have I don't have a Switch, and I didn't have a 3DS, so I couldn't play any of the other games. So that's pretty much my background with Pokemon. I've played I played Red and Blue, Gold and Silver, and Black and White, and I've always kind of kept up with the franchise, even though I don't necessarily play every single game. And I guess there were also like the games on the GameCube, like Gale of Darkness, which is kind of, but yeah. So I play some of the spin-off stuff as well. So that's my background with Pokemon. So I'm well versed with the franchise.
All right, Rakeem. I know you kind of more of a PlayStation guy. Did you ever get into Pokemon at all?
So, for me, like many other things that happened in my life with gaming, I did not have Pokemon as a kid because I never had a Game Boy, not one. However, my cousins did, and I pretty much as a child, when you're younger, a lot of people know you have older cousins. Everything they do is just cooler because they have more access to things you don't have.
True.
They have more consoles and more games. So my cousin came one day to the house with his Game Boy and happened to have Pokemon Red. I didn't play Pokemon Red with him, but I watched that man play Pokemon like it was a feature-length movie. Hours upon hours upon hours, like I was there too. And I was captivated by it. But at the time, I had a PlayStation, so I was kind of kid who didn't ask for a whole lot if I felt like I had enough. I had a PlayStation, I had several games, I had toys, so I didn't feel like I needed a Game Boy, so I kind of put it off. However, I did have some friends. A friend of mine also had a Game Boy at his house. So I would go over there sometimes and play his copy. So I got in around Red and Blue, like most people, a little bit of Yellow. And what really got me into Pokemon, though, was the anime. I love the Pokemon anime. Season 1, the anime, one of my fondest memories. I don't even care. I don't care what nobody says. That first season of Pokemon, that anime, bro, I could back watch that 100 times. I just loved it. I loved every episode, story arcs, how it all tied in together. It was simple and effective. And I think that was a big part of why that movement exploded as well. The anime and the video games coming together around the same time probably helped with the boom significantly. Because I know most people at my age around that time were watching the anime as well on TV. So the anime really got me into Pokemon because I was actually entertained by the things going on in the anime, the battles, the different Pokemon types. And so I never had, like I said, once again, I never had a Game Boy. However, a young man happens upon the internet. He finds some things that may or may not be there. And let's just say I was able to access more Pokemon games through the avenues of the internet in a particularly emulated fashion that may be legal because I may or may not have owned that particular copy of Pokemon.
Did you get a hold of some ROMs?
I know nothing of these ROMs you speak of. I just know there was some mystical energy.
ROMs, yeah, read-only memory. Everybody got that. That was a fire album. What you talking about? That's a great Daft Punk album. What you mean?
But yeah, I got a hold of some ROMs and got into Pokemon. I believe Ruby and Sapphire. I believe that was the one that had Kyogre because I really liked his design. And I got into Ruby, and I really liked the Ruby. At that time, that was like the Pokemon game that I really played was Ruby. I didn't get too far because I also had the problem where I was, magically finding Pokemon on my computer, and for some reason my dad would do updates to my computer and wipe everything, so I would never be able to complete the games. He constantly wiped my computer over and over again. It's like at a certain point he was like looking for it. He was looking for games because he didn't want me to play games on my computer, download them all the time. He would literally look on my computer for games just to delete them. To say I was upset would be an understatement. But to get back to the story, ever since then, I kind of fell off of the series. I stopped watching the anime as much. I got older. I got more interested in other anime. So I don't have as much of a connection to Pokemon as most people do, but I do have very fond memories of it when I was a youth. Between the ages of 7 and 9, the anime, watching my cousins playing occasionally at my friend's house, and my experiences with emulation. All those came together, and I say I had a very positive experience at a young age, and I have not touched the franchise really since.
I don't know why you had to say emulation like that, but yo, what's good, Terrence?
I was just gonna real quick just say that it looks like the actual date that Red and Blue came out in America was 98, so it wasn't actually like 96 or 97 like what we thought. So we actually did get a little bit later. I had forgotten about that. And yeah, to Rakeen's, huh?
Did the anime come out in 97 then?
I don't know about the
anime came out in like 99, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. And actually to your point, like if we're talking like all Pokemon media, yeah, I was totally like the trading card game, the anime. I had the Pokemon trading card game, like the actual Game Boy game. So yeah, you could toss all that Pokemon media. I was all about that, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. So yeah, you and I are alike in that regard.
Nice.
Will, what's up, man? Like, I know you the guy that tends to have some Nintendo consoles upon you. How do you feel about like how did you get into Pokemon, or if you did you ever get into Pokemon?
Well, I did get into Pokemon, but I got into it when it started appearing on television. When it did that, you know what I'm saying? Kids WB, you know, that little run there alongside stuff like Jackie Chan Adventures and Yu-Gi-Oh! I was actually into both of those at the exact same time. And I was collecting cards and watching the show. I really enjoyed it, but I never got into the Game Boy games when they came out. I never got into them because I could either A, never get a hold of them or never could afford them. But fast forward, when we got to the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Advance SP, I managed to get my hands on a copy of Pokemon Ruby, and I played that game out. I was on that game for hours on end. If we ever had a trip going down the road and we went to Jackson here or there, that blue Game Boy Advance SP was with me at all times, and I was playing Pokemon Ruby. I think I got it to the point where I may have either screwed up the cartridge or just screwed up my save file because I also bought an action replay. And if y'all know what that is, y'all know what I do with that. Had to get them red candies because I went from the grind all day. But yeah, played a lot of Ruby at the time alongside a bunch of other stuff that I had, and I kept up with the anime for like quite a few years. Then I stopped in high school for a bit. I stopped in high school and I was off it in college. But somewhere along the line, I had a 3DS and I got back into it, and I found myself playing Pokemon X. I played that quite a bit. So like I have like a huge gap. Like I didn't get in at the beginning. I got in somewhere in like second and third gen, and then I skipped a couple more from like Black, White, Diamond, and Pearl. I skipped all that, ended up at X and Y, and then I almost kind of got back in when they did what was it Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I almost got back in at that point because those games were the ones that really stuck out to me. Like these games here are my games. Like this represents me. Like my people, my age. These are our games. I love them, but I never got back into them. Other than that, I still see a lot of the media, the content, the products, all of that still around. So for me, Pokemon still has a bit of a place in my life, but it's just something I don't make it my business to go out and play anymore. So, but I have a little bit of a history with Pokemon.
I think at that point we all have a history with Pokemon. One of the things that's interesting to me from what everybody said is that Pokemon really was. It feels this isn't it precisely right, but Pokemon probably was the first cross media product that came out and was like originated in video games. Like there were other cross media projects starting as far back as the 80s. You had your Transformers and your Thundercats and that type of stuff where you'd have to have a cartoon and a toy line and a comic book and all of that stuff. But I think Pokemon was the one that started with a video game and then turned into an anime and it turned into a trading card game. And the thing that stands out is that they all were major fucking successes. They were all huge hits. Like Pokemon the game was a massive everybody gotta have it, everybody's playing it type thing. And then Pokemon the anime came out, and that's like one of the biggest anime of that era, hands down, alongside Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, and though like it's of that tier, even if you don't look at it in the same way, like even if you couldn't see yourself going back and watching Pokemon at the time, it was of that same level, no question. The trading card game was massive. Teachers taking your cards, like, look, stop playing that shit, all that shit. So like it was everything was big about Pokemon when it came out. And I mean it's still just as big today. But as far as me, like, I don't remember how I got into Pokemon. I the vaguest memory I have is that I was like a big fan of like buying magazines for like anime and for like comic books and for video games. And I would buy like EGMs and I would buy like what was the Nintendo magazine?
Nintendo Power.
It was
Power.
Nintendo
Nintendo
Power.
Power. That's it. I bought Nintendo Power and I remember they had like Pokemon in it and they had like in the back they had a strategy guide and they had like the first few pages of like a manga adaptation of the anime. And so like I was like, oh wow, this looks yeah, okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
You're talking about
And so,
you're talking about the manga that had red?
No,
Not that one?
I'm gonna get in it. This was like direct from the
Okay,
anime.
okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna get into that manga later,
Okay.
later in the podcast. But yeah, I mean, like as far as like I got in, I was like, man, this looks really cool, and so I went and I bugged my mom, and she got me the Game Boy Pocket. She got me a red Game Boy Pocket, and she got me actually Pokemon Red and Blue, because it's not that I didn't have friends, but none of them was playing Pokemon. I think it was just me playing Pokemon for a while. And I think I got it in like fourth grade. So 98 sounds about right. And I played the shit out of Pokemon Red and Blue. Like I caught all the Pokemon in both. Uh, I played it. I had all these toys growing up, and none of them fucking worked anymore because I had like cracked them open and took the batteries out. I was like, look, I need some more power. My mom won't buy me no more fucking batteries, so we putting the batteries in it. Like we taking the batteries out this Power Ranger toy. It don't need to make no noise. I'm just gonna swing it. I don't need it to say nothing. So I put the batteries in the Game Boy, and I'm like, all right, let's get to going. And I played that for hours. And like Terrence, I like replayed it. Eventually I found the Game Shark codes. I memorized the Game Shark codes. Lost the time now, but there was a time where I could recite the code to put Mew in the game, like verbatim. And I mean, like that was just a random hexadecimal code. There was no, Mewtwo or some shit like that. It was like 0, 11, 9 beat, like that type shit. And I had it memorized because I put it in so many times. That and the rare candy code, because of course I'm gonna go find missing null. I'm gonna like get my rare candies because I put my shit in the right
All
slot.
of us were low key just a bunch of cheaters.
Hey, yeah.
No. I beat it fair the first time.
Well, yeah,
I
you
beat it
kind of
fair.
have to the first time, yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, because by this time I had played through and beat it 3 or 4 times, and I got to like the 4th time, and I'm like, all right, look, I'm finna. I had been told about the code. I'm like, I'm finna use this code because the goal then was not just playing the game, was to get every Pokemon above level one. I mean, to level 100. Like I wanted to get every Pokemon I caught to level 99. I was like, let's go, let's get it. And not only that, I believe I was gonna try to get them all like I think they call it EVs, like the values, like the different
Yeah.
stats. I was gonna
Yeah.
use all the vitamins and feed my Pokemon hella vitamins so they was all 99 out and shit. And I even got to a point where I finally met a friend who played Pokemon, and he had a Game Boy and he had the link cable. And so like I had him, like I had restarted my game, and I had him trade, and we traded until we both had all the starters. And so like we all had like we both had like Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, and like I was like, this is gonna be the perfect run. And I believe I let my cousin borrow it, and she like resaved over it. And that was pretty much it for me in Pokemon Red and Blue. Like I was like, all right, I'm not going back to this game. I got other games to play. I was upset, but I got over it because I'm like, this is just a sign. I need to let it go. And I believe I came back to it with Gold and Silver. When it came out, I believe I was in 8th grade, and I was like, yeah, let's Gold and Silver. Let's try it. And I don't even think I finished Gold and Silver. I think I just got it. I don't remember which version I got. Probably Gold. But like I got it and played it and was like, all right. But by that time, I had gone through the Pokemon, the game. I had gone through the anime. The anime came on, but I lost the anime because like it aired on Kids WB, and they took that shit off my cable, so I never got a chance to finish it. Yeah, it sucked like that. I don't really have that same memory of Pokemon like everybody else has. I saw a couple of them. I seen the one where they tried to kill my boy Charmander. He had the trash trainer with the dude. He almost put the dude fire out. I was like, man, you son of a bitch. I seen the Squirtle gang with the shades and stuff like that. I seen some of those, but Squirtle Squad. I remember all of that, but like I didn't finish. I didn't see him fight the Elite Four or none of that. So I don't really have the same kind of tie that everybody has to Pokemon, the anime. And then like I of course played the trading card game like a lot, and I think there is a teacher somewhere in Mississippi that still has several of my Pokemon cards because she just took them hoes and never gave them back like at the end of the series. I mean at the end of the semester. So hopefully they was worth something. She could sell them for something. I don't know, but yeah, I mean like I loved Pokemon until Gold and Silver, and then I just kind of moved on, and I thought the franchise would just kind of go away, and it never did. And eventually, I just had to put some respect on its name. Like this shit it's here, bro. Like it's not a fad. It's not going nowhere. It's just here. And periodically, I think about coming back to it, but I've never done it for a lot of reasons, which I guess we can get into right now. Like, and pretty much all of us said to a person that we left Pokemon. So let me ask you this: what would it take for you to come back to Pokemon? What would it take, Rakeem? Like, what would it take for you to get into Pokemon today?
Well, for me to get into Pokemon, the first thing I have to do, I need to get a Nintendo console. And for some reason,
Step one.
yeah, I mean,
You
I have
know
a Nintendo console. I mean, there was a Pokemon Go phase that people had. I'm not playing Pokemon Go. It was for its
Oh
time.
man, that's a whole
That's
thing
never
in and of
happened
itself
again.
right there.
It
was a
really
Let's
is.
just say
Yeah.
this: Pokemon Go, the week or like couple weeks when that came out, that was world
Crazy.
peace. Like
It was.
everybody was playing it. Man, that was one hell of a time. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Continue.
Hey man, it's good memories. I remember that like it was yesterday too. But yeah, like for me to come back to the franchise, like I have been on the fence about the Switch because I have a PS4 and I have a PS5, but there are so many games on the Switch that are like, man, I would not mind playing that. Like to this, I hear so much about Breath of the Wild. I want to experience Breath of the Wild. I want to get into the Xenoblade series, but as a responsible
Fire.
adult, I know I shouldn't be bouncing off 3 different consoles and a PC. I'll try to be managing with that. For me to get back into Pokemon, the game I need to see needs to be so groundbreaking and amazing and just different from what I would expect it. I'm like, F it, I'm buying a Switch or Switch 2 by the time that comes out, probably won't be on Switch. Just something to like revitalizes the image of Pokemon. They're already kind of doing that with the open world stuff now to a
So,
degree.
so how do you feel about Pokemon Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet? Since
I
this
think,
is like 2 Pokemon games in the span of
yeah,
a year.
yeah, I feel like it's a step in the right direction where people kind of wanted to change. I think it was about time for us to kind of start changing things. I think it's a step in the right direction. There's more multiplayer integration with that because I believe with Violet and the current games is going to have multiplayer open field gameplay now where you can actually bring people into your games and you can play together. That's a great idea. I think that's a great idea for Pokemon. I think for me it's fine. I kind of miss some of the how to describe it, like the old school. This is a thing with turn-based games for me in general, but we can talk about that later. There's something about like when you get the presentation of turn-based games and then like in-field games where the combat's in-field. There's something that you lose in between there because turn-based is like it's almost curated. It's like designed to be really, really snappy and impressive and wowing you. And then when you're in the field, it kind of numbs it a little bit. That's kind of how I feel. Like the combat looks a little less over the top, less interesting. But the integration of it, like the open world aspects of it, those intrigue me as well because I've opened up the open world games a lot. So over the last few years, so I'm interested in that. But just in general, for me to come back to Pokemon, I just want to see something like kind of groundbreaking, something they're taking a risk and pushing the series even further forward. Like this is good, but I want to see a little bit more. And other than that, like some just new anime that just kicks ass. Just that could get me back into it too, because I got fell in love with Pokemon because of the anime. If it had a really cool new game and a new kick ass anime for new direction and like really cool, I might get me in there.
But normally I try to defer and let everybody else talk, but Rakeem said something. He kind of got into what I was thinking too. So I'm gonna say this:
Yes,
uh,
sir.
the thing to get me into Pokemon and to come back to Pokemon, really more than the game, I want an animated version of Pokemon Adventures. Like, if you don't know what Pokemon Adventures is, it was the manga. It's a manga, like a separate manga. Terrence actually brought it up, where the protagonists are all named after the actual game. So, like in the manga, like for the first gen, the protagonists were red, blue, and green. Like you had 3 different protagonists, which in Japan, green is actually is rival, not blue. So yeah, like you had red, blue, green, and in every generation. And if as far as I know, it's still going. It's like 600-700 chapters long. It's covered multiple generations. It's super like it's like Pokemon but shonen. It's like really over the top action based, very plot driven. I remember reading the first. I read the first generation, and I got a little bit into gold and silver, but I definitely read the first generation. Red, blue, green, and yellow. All 4 of those protagonists, and I was like locked in. Like I just was addicted. Every day I would come back and read more of the manga, and I was like, look, I gotta have more of this and more of this. And the only reason I stopped was because I got bummed out because I was like, why don't they make an anime out of this? This would be a cold anime, and they just never did. And I was like, dang, I guess I'm never gonna get what I want. That would be the thing that got me to come back. Like that would be the thing. Like if they said we're making a Pokemon Adventures anime, I'd be like, I'm right there. What's good, Terrence?
So, yeah, I was going to ask, and I thought you'd probably bring it up. Did you watch the OVAs that they put out for that was technically Pokemon Adventure in a sense?
I think there's like two, right?
Yeah.
Like two separate ones.
Yeah.
I remember watching one of them, and I don't remember why I didn't watch the other one. And the one I watched, I think was like 4 episodes, and it was like a straightforward shot to the top. But if I remember correctly, it wasn't quite the same because it had like because in the manga, several of the gym trainers turned out to be part of Team Rocket. Like they were just bad guys. And in like Elite Four, they was on some super evil type stuff, and they had like they played with a lot of the tropes and stuff like that. But the anime that I watched was just straight an adaptation of the anime, adaptation of the video game. It was just like, yeah, it's not Ash, it's just Red, Red facing all the gym trainers, and then he faces the Elite Four. I think he faced the Elite Four. It might have stopped him fighting Giovanni, but it was just like that. And I was like, this is cool. I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. It was well animated. Of course, it's an OVA, so they had to, more budget, more time, that type of thing. But it's not quite what I would have wanted. I want the seriously, because this was more like a montage almost. The one that I watched, it was like a I'm a fight gym leader. This is how the fight went. All right, we're moving on to the next gym leader. There's no adventures in between. We just fighting. I'm like, that's cool. I want the plot driven one, the one where you got to see Red, and Red was like he was basically a master trainer. Like each one had their own thing that they were like really good at. I want to say Gold was good with like a pool stick or something like that. And then like Silver was like a straight up thief. I remember that. Like he was like a Pokemon thief, and he just kept running. Like he was not quite Team Rocket. He was just like a grimy thief. Like I'm gonna steal this and I'm gonna just run off, and I ain't explaining nothing. It was really cool. And I was like, dang, I would love to see more of that, but we just never got it. And as far as like video games, the thing that would get me into Pokemon is what Rakeem said. I'm gonna need them because like what we've been seeing is a lot of incremental steps. Like, okay, we're gonna make this small change here, we're gonna make this small change there. And I'm sure if I came back to Pokemon, having not played it since Gold and Silver, and I think I emulated Ruby and Sapphire just a little bit. If I came back to it, I'd probably be like, wow, this is a lot. They've done so much. But I mean, if you play it every generation, you probably like, no, they haven't. They ain't really done much shit. So, Will, what would it take for you to get back into Pokemon, man?
For me to get back into Pokemon, well, I do agree with Keem. I wouldn't mind seeing another anime, and hell, you hit the nail on the head. I kind of want to see that, so I want that. But if that was something that would really get me back into Pokemon, this is a small one for me. But what a voice acting at, bro.
You know what? That's the kind of in fact, Terrence, didn't you bring that up? Like when we saw the trailer?
Yeah, I brought that. That was actually something that I was gonna touch on. So I'm glad that you're talking about it.
Yeah, because like I'll be honest, I understand. We started we started at the Game Boy and we stayed on these handhelds for quite some time, and I guess getting to the GameCube, I guess they still couldn't manage to do it. But I feel like once we got like towards, I guess they couldn't.
PlayStation 2 had Final Fantasy X. That shit had voice acting, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
It definitely did. And that was
Hold
what,
on.
2000?
Yes.
About 2000,
Metal Gear Solid
2001.
1 had voice acting. And that was a PS1 game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a full-blown movie. But yeah, I feel like at this point in time, they can find some people to sit in and do these voices. And I ain't saying just cram it in there and make it hokey, cheesy, and all that. Like, get some pros out here. There's plenty of people out here looking for work to do it. So why not get the voice acting going? Like,
Nintendo's already doing it with Fire Emblem. They did it with Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
There's plenty of Nintendo games that have gotten voice acting. There's literally no excuse at this point.
There's no reason for Pokemon to just continue to be.
Don't tell me it's about the budget.
Oh, it definitely about no budget.
Y'all got all the money.
True.
Exactly.
And I'm available, Nintendo. Me, I work.
All of us in here are available right now.
I could be a trainer. I could be a gym leader. Hell, I could be a Pokemon. King. Kimmy. You Thunderbolt. Kimmy. There we go.
Oh man.
Like, for real,
All
yeah.
right, boy.
Hop out with some voice acting in the next coming game, bro. Because I see y'all ain't finna do it for this one here. So get these character a voice. Get these characters a reason for me to actually be interested in them. I felt like this was the perfect time for y'all to do that after seeing the designs that I've seen for these professors. You could have definitely given a voice here. I definitely would have taken something, but y'all just said nah. They.
You know, it's kind of funny to me because like that's always one of them things that they like if you let hardcore Pokemon fans tell it, Pokemon is a AAA RPG. Well, AAA RPGs got voice acting.
Uh-oh.
Where's the voice acting?
Let's go there.
Are we going there?
Yes, sir. Terrence, what do you think? Like, am I wrong? Am I out of line?
Are we like a Attack on Titan? What was that? The scene with Reiner and Bearholt is like, are we doing this right here?
We're doing it
right now?
Right here, right now. We're doing it right here, right now. Like a
warrior.
Let Pokemon fans tell it, the hardcore, like the super hardcore. I've never seen a group of people defend a corporation harder than when they're trying to explain how Pokemon is actually a AAA RPG. And I get it as far as like marketing, but like, where's the effort behind the scenes? Like, where is the voice acting? Y'all are right. Like, I didn't think about it, but y'all are correct. Like, where is the voice acting? So, Terrence, is that like something like as far as like would help you get back into Pokemon?
It's all right. I got a few things here. So my thing with Pokemon as it is right now, I feel like Pokemon still hasn't really left the Game Boy or like the handheld stage, which I guess technically you could say then the Switch is a handheld. So, I mean, they're right where they need to be, but don't give me that. No, I feel like Pokemon, we haven't really gotten the true console Pokemon RPG that I think all of us dreamed of. Because I think that's the thing, is that growing up, we played Pokemon Red, we played Gold and Silver, and played all the others, whatever. But we all really wanted a true console Pokemon RPG. And when the GameCube came out, well, I guess let me back up a little bit. When the 64 came out, and I guess the closest thing at that time that we got was Pokemon Coliseum, which that was fun. Coliseum was fun, but it wasn't the RPG that we wanted it to be. It was pretty much just a glorified battle simulator. That's essentially what it was. It wasn't until the GameCube where we got, I think there was Gale of Darkness, and then there was another one that I can't think of. Those
Coliseum, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was but wasn't Coliseum more like Pokemon Stadium pretty much?
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say there was another one, but I'm not gonna look it
There
up.
was.
But I'm pretty sure there was another like Gale of Darkness like game that came out on the GameCube. But anyway, when Gale of Darkness came out, it came out to kind of like mixed reviews, just because like I think at the time, it wasn't quite the Pokemon RPG that we thought it would be. It wasn't quite like the OG games. I'll put it that way. It tried to tell a bit of a darker story. But yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head what people thought about it. I just remember it coming out to mixed reviews, and I played it and I don't even remember. So that it must mean that it was pretty forgettable as a game. But yeah, so even on the GameCube, we didn't get the console Pokemon game that we wanted. On the Wii, well, we didn't get it there either. Wii U, we sure didn't get it on the Wii U. And now we're
you got
on the
Pokken.
Yeah, actually, and that's something I'm gonna bring up is that with the Switch, we got Sword and Shield, and Sword and Shield did well. I mean, it did really well. I mean, it sold well, but there was still controversy behind it in terms of like not having all the Pokemon on it. Some of like the world not being as detailed and rich as people thought it would be. There were definitely some issues with Sword and Shield. That and the, what was it, Gigamax? That was just a weird thing to add. And now we're at Violet and Scarlet, and it just kind of feels like more the same. But I guess let me back up again. Then we got to Pokemon Arceus, and I will say Arceus definitely intrigued me. Like Arceus, the fact that they were finally going, I felt like they were finally going in the direction that people have been wanting for so long. Because the thing is, Pokemon really, outside of like some minor stuff that they add to each and every game, there's some mechanic tweaks and everything. Like they'll add like triple battles or like rotation battles and stuff like that. The Gigamax, they'll add a gimmick every single game, Mega Evolution. So there's something that is different every single generation. But the main thing that hasn't changed is that we're still doing just regular turn-based. And at this point, I kind of want an evolution of turn-based. There's nothing wrong with turn-based. And I know that eventually we're going to talk about, turn-based versus action RPGs, but I kind of just want something different. Maybe even if it was akin to what Final Fantasy VII Remake did in terms of it keeps some of the elements of turn-based instead of like you have the choice, but it's all in real time. And I just would really like to see Pokemon pursue that, just to do something kind of outside, something that's just different. Because it just feels like every game at this point is the same, but just with a different mechanic or a different gimmick that's tossed in. I mean, besides that, you have the whole voice acting thing. Is like Will said, is like, why can't we get voice acting in Pokemon? Pretty much all the other Nintendo franchises now, or like the big ones, they have voice acting. So I just feel like it's just a poor decision on Nintendo's part to just keep foregoing it. Like I know like years ago, the argument is like, oh, it gives it that classic feel. We don't need voice acting. It's like, nah, BS. Well, look, we're in 2022 now. It's like, that's the base level of what Nintendo can do. Nintendo has money. Don't give me this BS about, oh, Nintendo can't do this, they can't do that. Pokemon is a multi-million-dollar franchise. It has plenty of money to do whatever the hell it wants to do. So no excuse in that regard. Like you said, well, actually another one, something that one of my roommates brought up today is that we're still doing the 2 version thing. Like, we still have Scarlet and Violet. I know the reason why we did it back then. I mean, it's obvious why back then. I mean, it's still obvious now. I mean, obviously more money, but do we need 2 versions now? Like, do we really need to still do the whole, you have to have this version of the game to get certain Pokemon and then trade it to the other version kind of thing? It's like, this just feels kind of outdated at this point. So I would just say those are the things, in my opinion, that I think need to change. It's just, I would like to see voice acting. I would like to see Pokemon kind of push the envelope in terms of like giving us a Pokemon game with a real budget. And the 2 versions thing, I think that we need to forego that now. Yeah. So those are my takes on it.
Yeah, I mean, I concur as far as like I feel like they're not doing it, taking enough risks, like with as far as like because like you said, they do have the money. It would be one thing if they didn't have the money. It would be one thing if it was like Falcom. Like, when you look at Falcom and you see minor changes from game to game, from East 9 to East 10, from Trails of Cold Steel to what's the new one? Trails of Black.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, sure, that makes sense. But I mean, like, damn, like, at least, what's up, Keen?
Even East 9 got voice acting.
Let's face it. I mean, all RPGs nowadays have voice acting, unless there's just like, unless they're like indie or really small indie, because even indie RPGs have voice acting, but like really small indie, or they're trying to replicate the feel of like 90s RPGs not having any kind of voice acting. And you can't say that Pokemon still wants to replicate that. Like, man, it's been 30 years. Well, look, maybe not quite 30, but it's been 20 plus. Like, come on now.
The only thing remotely close to a good reason to not have voice acting in your RPG is those people who are like, I want an RPG with like choice-based gameplay, and I want a shit ton of choices, and it would take too much, it would cost too much and take too much time to voice every option. And they're talking 5, 6, 7, 8 options per, dialogue choice. And okay, sure. In that scenario, I understand why you wouldn't necessarily want voice acting. It's going to impede all the choices. Pokemon ain't no choice-based RPG. That motherfucker got the same story every time. Like, you gonna go and punch some gym leaders in the mouth. I think what was it, Sun and Moon? I think you went and punched like 4 island leaders or whatever. So I think they kind of shifted it up a little bit that way. But for the most part, it's just you go fight some gym leaders, bro. It's the same story every time with some minor changes. It's not choice-based. Which, interestingly enough, would be a cool way to change things up. Like, it's crazy to me why you see Pokemon look the way it looks, but then you can look at Breath of the Wild 2, or you can look at Xenoblade 2 and 3. Xenoblade 3 looks amazing, and it's running on the same goddamn console that Pokemon is running on. So there's no reason why. What's up? What's up?
You mentioned Pokken earlier, and I forgot to say that. Yeah, it's like, look, in my opinion, the best looking Pokemon game that we ever got was Pokken, and I know that's not like a traditional RPG Pokemon, but that game looked amazing, and it's on the Switch. It's like, that's just another thing. It's like graphically, I don't understand why Game Freak can't. Well, I know why, because look, it's
Pokken
multiple
wasn't
Pokemon.
designed by Game Freak.
What's that?
Exactly.
Pokken wasn't designed by Game Freak.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm saying what I'm saying is that with Game Freak, I know why. I get why they can't push the envelope in terms of graphically, because.
Can you explain it to me? Because like, see, that's the thing. Like, that was the argument that, like, that's what I was saying when I said, okay, Pokken isn't made by Game Freak. Like, when these other studios come through and want to do something with Pokemon, it's always more interesting. When we get Game Freak, it's like the same shit every time. So like, I don't get it. Can you explain it to me?
Well, I guess what I mean is that, so in Pokken's case, obviously you have like what did it have, like no more than like 20 characters, so they could take the time to give the Pokemon more detail. The argument that's always been against Game Freak is that if they're putting as many Pokemon in the game as they can, pretty much for almost every system, they're having to build it from the ground up. Because like at this point, we have like over 800 Pokemon. If you're going to put all, or at least try to get all 800 Pokemon in the game, and you're doing a new game every system, you're pretty much having to kind of like build every single, like all 800 Pokemon in the same system. And that's a lot of work. And I'm not saying that Nintendo can't afford that. They can definitely afford that. And Game Freak can afford to, like, they just have to take their time. They couldn't do like a yearly Pokemon release. So this isn't me giving them an excuse, but I'm just saying, I know that's the reason why they haven't truly pushed the envelope, but I do want them to. It's just that it's just going to take them time to do so. So, yeah.
So you got me on that one. Like, because like one of the things I'll say is that they kind of tried to take out some of the Pokemon, and what they got was like a shitstorm. Now, and in the fans' defense, Pokemon Sword and Shield didn't exactly look like what everybody wanted. It wasn't the Pokemon Breath of the Wild that everybody wanted. If it had been, maybe they would have been more accepting of like Dexit, and it was like maybe 300 Pokemon. You'd be like, okay, sure, you only got 300 Pokemon, but look at the graphics though. That probably would have worked more in their favor. But they wanted to do just a mild upgrade, like, okay, yeah, this is what you'd expect. We switched to a more powerful console, so of course it's gonna look a little better, but not that much better than 3DS. Like, all right, I guess, like, no, like if you really want to take out all the Pokemon and reduce the number, you're gonna have to step them graphics up, my guy, and it's not gonna get no better, because like the Switch is only how long would y'all say the Switch has left?
Maybe 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years tops, right?
I want to say 2.
Agree.
Yeah, 2.
That's why I said tops. 3 years tops.
2,
Like by
3.
2026, you're gonna be looking like they're gonna be talking about in 2026. By 2025, late 2025, mid 2025, we'll be talking about Switch, Super Switch, or Switch Pro. Well, not Switch Pro, Switch 2, whatever the fuck they decide to call it. That's coming, and it's going to be more powerful than the Switch. So like, at some point, y'all gonna have to step it up. Like, it's gonna be weird. You sitting there with a console that's more powerful than a PS4, and your shit look like a PS3 game at the end of the generation. That's gonna be crazy. So I don't know. Like, it's just strange to me. So let me switch, because I got one more question I want to ask y'all.
Sure.
Do y'all think Pokemon needs some competition? And if so, like, where could you get that competition from? Rakeem, you look excited. What's up?
Oh, so it's funny you should mention that, because I've actually last year I spent a lot of time looking at like Pokemon alternatives online, because there's been a big boom in like indie Pokemon style titles. Like, for instance, Tim was one that was heavily like advertised like on IGN, like this big 3D kind of Pokemon contender. It kind of fell off in popularity after that, but at the time when it came, it's still going on. It's more like an MMO where it's like iterated on over time. But at the time, it was pretty big. And I've noticed like some more games emulate certain aspects of Pokemon. Like, for instance, there's this game that released recently, very recently, like a month or two ago, Koromon, which I've been following, which emulates Game Boy Advance style Pokemon. Like, it looks just like a Game Boy Advance style Pokemon game. And I think to give Pokemon more competition definitely would be a good thing. I really hate that Digimon in the game space never hit what Pokemon could do. Because I'll be honest, I was always a bigger fan of Digimon as a franchise with the animation and stuff
Had
than
a
I
better
was
anime.
Pokemon.
Mhm.
Right. So yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I've played a few like Pokemon tournaments. Like I have Coromon on my PC and I play a little bit of it. I played it on my phone. It was even available for phone for a demo, and it was addicting. I think games that like kind of emulate what Pokemon did in the past, but refine on it, which is why competition is so good. They'll refine on ideas that Pokemon isn't willing to go there, but they'll go there because they don't have those same like expectations or certain things that have to be in there. They can take certain things from Pokemon and like, okay, that's cool, but let's tweak that. Like like Coromon has a completely different take on the shiny system, where it's like you have these different breeds of shiny and like the different intensities is way more interesting than just a traditional shiny system. That's a mild case, but yeah, definitely. I think Pokemon having competition would drive them to try more. I don't know how the hell they're gonna like jumping in now is gonna be very difficult for any new IP to do it. It might have to come from like an alternative from a IP that might currently exist but steps its game up, like a Digimon game, for instance, that finally steps up and like, hey, people are like, oh yeah, I like Digimon as a kid. Let me try this out. But yeah, I agree, and I've been playing a couple alternatives online, and they're pretty fun too.
Uh, Terrence, you was doing some motioning on the camera. I think we both thinking of a very similar game. Would you like to tell us about it?
Oh yeah, Power World. So okay, as much as the game has been memed and people talking about, the whole like Pokemon with guns and everything kind of thing. Look, I'll be real.
Yeah.
It looks better graphically. It looks better than any Pokemon game has ever looked. And you know what? I mean, I have to give it respect for that. And it looks, I mean, there are definitely aspects of it that are completely ripping off Pokemon. I am not saying that it is definitely ripping it off, but you know what? Competition is a good thing because I don't think anybody's going to touch Game Freak. Like, don't at this point, Game Freak has been doing this for multiple decades, and Pokemon is a multi-million, maybe even well, we'll just say million. I don't know if it's billion, but
I think it's got to be close to billion if it ain't there yet.
Like Pikachu is one of the most recognizable characters in the world. Like even if your grandma is like 95, she probably knows who Pikachu is. And so that just lets you know the impact that Pokemon has had on the world. And I don't think any game is ever going to touch Pokemon, like if there is a competitor, but I do think it would be great if we could see more games come out that are like Pokemon and people could play them and see that, okay, this can be done in a different way. And maybe that would hopefully inspire Game Freak to do something different. Yeah, like I'm not, like I said, I don't think games like Power World are going to light the world on fire, but it has been interesting to see the press that's gotten, the attention that's gotten from people. I think, despite the memes, I think when it does come out, people will try it and, we'll see how it goes. But I do think that is good that at least they're trying to give some competition, because it's kind of like Smash Brothers, where for the longest time Smash Bros didn't really have any competition. They were the platform fighter, and now that it seems like the franchise is kind of done, at least right now anyway, a lot of other developers have stepped up. I mean, of course, we have like games that have been going on for a long time. You have Brawlhalla, you have was it Rivals of Aether? Is that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
you have that, and now you have Multiverses that's out, and it looks great. And we just might, just based on like leaks and rumors, we might just get a Power Stone revival. So it seems like now, like there's a bunch of developers that are coming out of the woodwork and trying to claim that crown now that Smash has kind of died down a bit. So I would kind of like to see the same thing happen for Pokemon. Like I don't think anyone's going to top Pokemon, but it would be nice to at least have some competition in the field, because competition breeds skill, and it increases it just breeds skill, and it ups the
Innovation
ante.
is what you were looking for.
What's that?
You were talking about innovation.
Yeah, just innovation. Yeah, it increases the innovation and it makes people like get off their ass and like actually do better, instead of just doing the same old, same old. And I'm not saying, I guess let me just set the record straight. I'm not saying that Pokemon, like Game Freak, they've been putting out like a bunch of like 6 or 7 out of 10 games. It's like Game Freak. I mean, Pokemon Black and White. When I played the first game, that game was amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed that game. And even though I haven't really played a Pokemon game after that, I'm not saying that these games are bad or like horrible. It's just that I expect more from a franchise that has just captured the hearts of millions, and I just would like to see it go. You know, I think I would just like to see it go to the next level. You know, like I grew up on Pokemon, and I just feel like I want to see the console RPG that I envisioned years ago.
Mhm.
Look, I appreciate you for doing all that serious talk, but you're not gonna just speed past what you did.
What
You
happened?
mentioned Smash clones and just said fuck Nick All Stars, huh?
Oh, I didn't. Oh, I mean, I just didn't bring it up just because I forgot it.
Yeah, that's
I
the
mean, heck,
problem.
you know what? You know, hey, Nick All Stars didn't have voice acting, and people memed it. So you know what?
Oh,
Hey,
didn't.
people need to
Didn't have
meme
music
Pokemon
either.
as well.
Nick All Stars coming to PS Plus next week. If any Nick All Star sponsors out there, coming to PS Plus next week.
Hey man, don't be plugging them. They ain't gonna pay us.
They
You can
might,
pay me.
and if they do, I mean, I'll definitely sell out. I need y'all to know.
Hey man,
I
I'll
need
shield
every
all the way.
sponsor to know. I will sell out to anybody for really any amount of money that's remotely. If it's got more than 2 zeros on the check, I'll sell out. I'm just letting you know. All right. Will, what do you think? Do you think Pokemon needs competition to like get it to where it should be?
Yes, I honestly do, because I say that about a lot of games that are currently out right now, such as our yearly sports titles and our Call of Duties. Someone
Very
needs
good
to
point.
stand up and make them put something else out. And I'm not saying they need to change the game completely, but someone needs to come out, take what these people are currently doing and freshen it up. Make them realize, oh, we kind of might need to do this now because they're doing this before us and they're doing something better than us. So we need to one up them next to make our game look better. Because I feel like I don't want to say it like this, but I don't want Pokemon to really have the 2K problem because we don't have live anymore. So
Yeah.
2K consistently comes out, but every year is usually something's wrong with it, or it's just a tiny little minor step up. It's like, oh, we went from just player models on court to you can see the sweat. We went from you can see the sweat to we put in signature moves from said player. From signature moves to we're on these courts now. We're on this, we're on that. They keep adding little stuff game by game instead of putting in at least a handful of features each time. So it's like they're taking these things they could do and just dropping them into each game. Just like we'll put this in this game, we'll put this in that game. Competition needs to happen. And to ask you something, Keem, while it's on my mind, you mentioned a
Yeah.
couple of them. Have you ever seen the game Nexomon Extinction?
Yes, I played that
Okay.
too.
Okay,
just didn't
because I
mention it
noticed
this
because I noticed you didn't mention it, and it came to my mind. I was like,
I had it on my phone today. Actually, I was looking at my phone today.
really?
I played
Okay,
it before.
okay.
I didn't get deep into it, but I played a little bit of it. Like I said, I was looking at those clones, man.
We was
Because
doing research, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, but in general, like because I'm not a Nintendo guy, but I'm a
Right.
PlayStation guy. And recently, like I just said, there's been a big boom of indie games that have like tried to emulate Pokemon. So like, you can play Pokemon alternatives now on
Yeah, you know,
PlayStation, on PC, on your
mhm,
phone.
right.
It's
Like,
available. So they better be careful. Real
yeah,
careful.
I mean, yeah, but it's like Terrence said. I don't think anything is gonna
Yeah.
shut your mouth. I know. Calendar. Thank you for letting me know the podcast is on. I'm here now. Uh,
Hey, I
look,
appreciate you making sure that you were gonna be punctual.
hey, look. I heard we are gonna be here late, so I had it set for a later time, but we was here earlier, so we here.
Okay.
What you got to say, King? What's up?
I have one final point. I think
Go ahead.
the real problem, maybe the problem Game Freak may be having, this is total speculation, is that
Mhm.
once you have a game that its systems and like its formula is like captivating, addicting, and it works,
Mhm.
it's hard sometimes to change it too much because you can change certain
Ah,
things and fuck the whole formula without realizing it.
In
Hey,
other
look,
I've
words, if
seen
it
that.
ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of
look,
thing.
there you
look.
go.
I hadn't
Yeah.
answered this question yet. Let's not,
Oh,
I
okay.
had a whole little thing I was gonna say, and this didn't Rakeem didn't come up with something, and you might fuck around and step on what I was gonna say. None of that.
Ah.
You had your shot.
You're right.
You had
You're
your
right. All right,
you
I'm gonna
had your
back.
time, heathen.
I'm gonna back and And let's say it gets eagle on.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sage.
I want to say this to piggyback off of what Terrence said. We do need to put some respect on Game Freak's name a little bit, just in that, like Terrence said, they're not consistently churning out 6s and 7s. These are consistent 8s and 9s. These are good to great games that are like, if you're a newcomer or if you haven't played a lot of Pokemon, or if you haven't played Pokemon in years, you probably come in there and you have a great time. You have a great experience. And that speaks to the level of polish and quality that they are putting into these, because it's not 2K. It's because 2K is full of bugs and glitches.
That too.
And like, whenever people pick up a 2K, they're like, why the fuck am I playing this game? Even the people who stream it are like, why am I playing this piece of shit? People who stream Pokemon never say that. They still love that game. All right. I mean, like, people who play people who play 2K and people who play Madden, they playing it because they addicted. They can't, like, even though they know it's not good for them, they can't stop playing it. People who play Pokemon play it because they love it for the most part. And then another thing I want to say is you got to be careful with all your changes. COD tried to change. It didn't work. They tried. They had a whole the first 3 games of the PS4 gen were all hella futuristic and shit, and the fans was livid. They was like, "No, let's go back to that same shit we was doing before." And they really specific about what they want too, because not only was they mad at futuristic shit, when they went to World War II, the fans were still mad. They was like, "We don't want this World War II shit." They want a very specific time period of guns to shoot with. They don't want no lasers, and they don't want no bolt action. I got to shoot a nigga with a musket. They don't want none of that. All right, they want 1960. Yeah, they don't want no Bayonetta, and I ain't talking about the Nintendo character. I'm talking about Bayonet. I think Bayonet. They don't want no Bayonet. They don't want none of that. All they want is like 1960s, 70s, 80s guns, maybe modern day gun. That's it. They want the very specific time period, and it's hard to innovate when you have fans that are that fucking fickle. And I don't know how fickle the Pokemon fan base is, and Game Freak doesn't really know how fickle they can be because they haven't really tried. They're not trying to, they're not going to upset the apple cart. These games like Pokemon, what was it, Sword and Shield? I think it's the second best selling Pokemon game of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it passed Gold and Silver. It's like right behind Red and Blue. That's impressive because most of them never get that high. So like they're doing what they need to do to some extent. As far as competition is hard. It's hard as a bitch. Like right now, I would say there is no real competition. The thing that came the closest and nobody brought it up is Yokai Watch. Yokai Watch tried.
Well, I guess technically because that was more of a Japan thing than it was an American thing.
Yeah.
It could have still been huge in Japan and then eventually come over here. And it kind of did come over here, but it just didn't. What really got in its way was it tried, but the mistake was it did too much too soon. The franchise was too frequent. Every year they had a Yokai Watch game out. They came out with Yokai Watch in 2013, Yokai Watch 2 in 2014, Yokai Watch 3 in 2015. And it was like, hey, man, we don't want this many fucking video games. Like, you got to let your like Pokemon can do that because it's got decades in the game, but you got to let your franchise grow. What's up, Will?
The biggest thing about that Yokai Watch, I'm glad you mentioned it. Like you said, they did too much too soon. I just thought about it with Yokai Watch 2 and maybe even I don't even know if there's another one out behind that, but they also started doing the double version thing too. They started doing that with Yokai Watch 2. It was 2 different versions. I know one of them had to do with spirits and the other one said something about bones. I can't remember it, but we have copies at the store. And I seen them. I was just like, this is a thing. And you can also say the same thing for Mega Man Battle Network. It did that. It did good for like the first few games, and then it started doing that double version thing in like the later game.
Yeah, I think
I feel like Pokemon's really the only one that can kind of get away with that, to truth be told.
Pokemon did it first, and then people just kind of liked it because it had a good idea for it. It was like, oh, one game will have these Pokemon, the other game will have these Pokemon. You can trade with your friends. And we're not, that era has passed. Like, you don't need no link cable. People trade online. People play online all the time. And if Nintendo wasn't stuck in the 1990s, they could have like a functional online capacity, and people could play online the way they want to, and not trade friend codes or whatever the fuck they doing now. I don't know how the Switch system works, so don't make me lie. But like, they could do that, and then you could trade. Like, you could find ways to be like, hey, this Pokemon only evolves if you trade it to your friend, and your friend can trade you a Pokemon that also evolves, and that type of stuff. You don't need multiple versions. But Nintendo will continue to get away with that because they're the first to do it, and people who play Pokemon love it. These other franchises, they're not gonna get away with that because like nobody wanted it. Like, people don't really like that. Like, when you look at Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, people look at it, they like, oh, fuck, 2 versions again? Why are we still doing this shit? Like, a lot of people are upset about it. They don't want that. And so like the fact that they're like anybody else trying to do that is destined to make a mistake. Like, especially if you're trying to be a Pokemon killer or even a Pokemon competitor. Like, the first thing you need to do is avoid any kind of multi you got to get 2 games to get all the collect them all. No. You need one, you get one game. Just the one. And then after, because like nobody, games is $60 and $70. Nobody's trying to pay $120, $140 for no 2 fucking games. Like, in the first place, why can't you just do microtransactions and put some characters in like that? Add in some DLC. Hell, Game Freak could do that if they wanted. They could add in like additional Pokemon through DLC, not new ones, like old ones, like Legacy Pokemon.
Yeah.
They could add in additional Pokemon through DLC if they wanted. They just choosing not to. It's wild. Does anybody have any closing thoughts on Pokemon? Like, is there like something that you like? Could you like, Will? Do you see yourself getting Scarlet and Violet?
As of right now, no, because I'm just not really big into Pokemon like I used to be. As of right now, my current obsession is the Romance and Saga series. I'm not even. I'm into a game series that's 30 years old and is finally having somewhat of a renaissance right now. So I'm supporting that. I'm not finna support Catch 'Em All. I'm finna support these 8 storylines and be happy.
I
Mr.
think
Will.
I think we are not all on that page, but I think we are all on that. I would love, like, let me shift that. Not, do you
Go
plan
ahead.
on buying it? Would y'all like to come back?
Yes,
Maybe, yeah.
I would.
Terrence, would
Because
you
I-
like to come back to Pokemon? Like, if they made a bunch of changes, if you saw some of the changes that would you like to come back?
I would like to come back. I genuinely would like to see, like, I want I mean, deep in my heart, I still really like Pokemon. I mean, Pokemon was just so influential and just so huge for me growing up that I would just love for I really still want to see the console game that I envisioned years ago, and I'm still waiting on that. And hopefully, whenever this Super Switch or whatever the next system comes out, hopefully, if it's like graphically up to par, we can get the game that we've all have always wanted, and not even just graphically. Like I said, I still just want to see them. I want to see Game Freak kind of like push the envelope on the game. Like I said, give us the voice acting, like do something different with the battle system. Just yeah, if they did all that, you know what? I would come back. I definitely would.
I almost want to ask something really stupid that'll never happen.
You might as well since you brought it
Go
up.
ahead. We here. You here now.
Oh my god, they finna slaughter us
Go.
if they see this.
Let's go.
If Pokemon was multi-platform,
Oh.
would you be
Whoa.
more likely to get it?
Yes.
That's
No-
a
no
yes
question.
from Keen.
No question.
Uh,
I buy it.
Will has a Switch, so I
I
think he
do.
would. It doesn't really matter
I
for him.
wouldn't.
Terrence,
It
would
wouldn't
that
really
change your
matter.
mind? Like, if you didn't have to invest in a $300 system, like, would that do it for you?
Probably, but I mean that would obviously never happen.
That's
But
never
yeah,
happened.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's
Yeah.
make this clear. That's never ever like, Nintendo's never gonna be not a hardware company. Like, there'll always be a hardware company. They'll find a way. And plus, the
Yeah.
Switch is printing fucking money, and I don't see it changing with the Super Switch or whatever they call it. So I had to ask, because like, it's something that I think about. I'm like, a lot of people who claim they're not into Pokemon anymore, I feel like some of them would definitely at least give the game franchise a shot if they didn't have to invest in a whole nother console to do it.
Right.
But all right, I think that's gonna do it for this week. If you like this podcast, I just need you to do a couple of things. I need you to do us a favor and hit that subscription button on YouTube. I need you to follow us on Twitter, follow us on TikTok, tell your friends about us, and do me a favor and have an excellent week. Peace.